Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inspirational Interviews. I'm Hannah Levin with Heartfelt Wellbeing, and I'm super excited to share today's guest with you. Nika Lawrie is coming to us from the Wild West with her passion for eco-friendly products and foods. So I'm really excited to have her on here. If you are joining us live, if you can give StreamYard permission for us to see your name, that would be fabulous. And feel free to chime in as you watch this live, or if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask questions or give feedback, whatever shows up for you as you're learning along the way. So without further ado, let me bring on Nika. Hello.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing
Doing
today?
good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn from you today. So, will you just start by introducing yourself, giving us a little um, lay of the land of who you are?
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Nika Lawrie. I'm a functional nutrition counselor by trade, but really I'm kind of a entrepreneur with my hands in a couple different buckets, but my big focus is health and sustainability. I really want to heal people and the planet. And so I focus on how those two are really interconnected. And so, through a couple different facets, I do functional nutrition counseling. I do sustainability counseling for corporations. And then I also have a product line of personal care, bath and beauty products that are all clean, plant derived, earth derived, no synthetic chemicals whatsoever. And so we really focus on making sure those are clean and healthy for our bodies. And then also we have we're really careful about how we package everything. So we try to make all the packaging and shipping as sustainable and eco-friendly as possible too. So
Awesome. So you
yeah,
can feel good about the product and what the product comes in.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
excellent. So, what led you to this passion?
Well, I think it's kind of a three-pronged thing. So the first thing is I actually grew up off the grid. So I currently live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've lived all over the country, but I was born and raised here. And my parents live in the mountains outside of Albuquerque, and they're kind of the hippie that you kind of know and love. So they figured out how to live off the land basically. They had solar panels before it was cool. This is, 30, 40, even close to 50 years ago now. They had solar panels. And so that's how we had power. And then they actually collected rainwater and filtered it, and kind of the same osmosis process that they have for, city water that you have now, but it was from rainwater. And so that's what we used for drinking and bathing and all that good stuff. And so it was definitely understanding the importance of, our impact on the planet, and really making sure that we are being as conscious as possible in the type of impact we're making. So that was the first prong. Second prong is then when I kind of rebelled and I was like, this is crazy. I'm going to go live in the big cities. I moved to New York and Los Angeles, and I worked in the film and entertainment industry. I worked in music as well for a long time, and found I had a lot of fun, but it was really stressful and really damaging to my health. And I didn't see a whole lot of positive coming out of it. I mean, yes, we enjoy music and entertainment, and I wholeheartedly believe those things are important. But on the grander scheme of things, I just didn't see how I was really going to make a difference in the world. And that was really important to me. So, kind of looking at that, and then after I left, so I lived in Manhattan, I lived in Los Angeles, and I came back here to Albuquerque, and I ended up working for the Alzheimer's Association. Had no plan in working for the Alzheimer's Association, had no connection to dementia whatsoever at the time, but I worked there for just shy of a decade. And I had the privilege to work with some of the top dementia researchers in the world.
Mm.
I got to learn from them, work with them hands-on different projects. I got to coordinate different conferences where researchers from around the world would come in and present groundbreaking research and information on dementia and cognitive decline. And so it was this fantastic opportunity. But the biggest takeaway I took from it was, holy crap, we're all really sick and we're not taking care of our bodies or the planet, and all these toxins and chemicals and poor food decisions that we're making are leading to dementia amongst a whole bunch of other metabolical health concerns and
Mm.
diseases, autoimmune issues, you name it. They're all kind of interlinked. And so kind of having those three influences really kind of led me to focus into what I call conscious living, but it's really looking at health and sustainability and again, how those two kind of intertwine together.
Mhm. So how did you decide where to start? Like,
Um,
you're like, "Whoa, we're in a
yeah,
toxic world." Where do you
yeah.
start?
You know, the biggest thing was it was a personal thing for me. So I had,
Mhm.
I have a 6.5-year-old daughter. And after I had her, I gained that typical weight after having a baby. And so I was, back then it was kind of a self-conscious thing. I felt heavy and
Mm.
uncomfortable and I wanted to figure out how to lose weight. And so that was the first thing. But once I started deep diving into how you actually lose weight opposed to just counting calories,
Yeah.
I started to realize, wow, there's so much that I don't know that's happening within my body. And so that really just sparked the interest. And then I just jumped down the rabbit hole and I just keep spiraling down after, like, still there, like just learning new, fascinating things every day. But the further I got into it, the more I understood I'm not alone. Like, there's so
Mhm.
many of us that are struggling with the same kind of issues, that are having health issues or health concerns that we don't necessarily need to be having, or things that we're not addressing because we're not fully aware of what's going on in our body. And so it's kind of a long-winded question to your or answer to your question, but really it was um, the concern for my own health and the concern for the health and well-being of my child, providing her
Mm.
healthy food and a safe environment. And so I just really started to learn and absorb. And I realized, oh my gosh, like most of the foods we're eating are questionable. The toxins in everything, I mean, literally everything, are horrifying when you start to understand how they impact our body and
Yes.
how unregulated they are. And so I can go on, but that's really it was a personal process of learning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so is it like you started, like, changing out your shampoo and your cleaning products and looking for organic food at the grocery store and
Yeah, so first it was really looking at my food and making
Mhm.
a conscious decision to swap out foods. And so first I would swap out, this seems like not great. There's weird chemicals in it that I can't even pronounce. So then I would swap it to another less I'm doing air quotes here, less processed food with fewer words I couldn't pronounce. But then once
Uh-huh.
I started understanding the real effects of processed foods, I was like, this isn't good either. Like, I've been
Mhm.
sold the greenwashing of, hey, this is the health product. But once you actually
Mm.
start to look at what's in those products, still you realize that this is damaging to your body as well. And so then I really transitioned to whole foods and then really started focusing on organic whole foods as much as possible and
Mhm.
really understanding how those things impact your body. From there, once I really kind of did the whole food revolution in my bot or in my home, I started to really think about, well, if there's so many toxins in our food, imagine what's in everything else. And so I really started looking at beauty products. I looked at
Mm.
lotions and creams and body wash and shampoos and fragrances like perfumes. You look at all of the things that we use to wash our clothes, the detergents, the soaps we use to wash our hands. Like, mean, you can go on and on and on, and the toxins are endless. And then
Yeah.
really starting to understand how they impact our body as well.
So can we go into that? I know you have these three topics or kind of categories of things that you look at, which are non-toxic, eco-friendly, and social good,
Mhm.
is like how you break that down. So can we go into that non-toxic category of like what is a toxin?
Yes.
Why is
So
it bad?
So a toxin is a kind of a general term. So a toxin to me may not be a toxin to you. There are some
Mhm.
overall toxins that are just bad for all of us. I'll give you like glyphosate. Glyphosate
Yeah.
is something that they use in pesticides, use it in Roundup to kill weeds. That has direct correlations to causing cancer. There are a whole number of health concerns when it comes to glyphosate. BPA is another example, though BPA is not really the only concern. There's BPA, there's BPS, there's BPF. My understanding is that there's actually BPA through BPZ, and it's all really the same. And even though a product says that it's BPA free, it
Mm.
still may include those same chemical makeups that are, again, correlated to cancer. They're
Mm.
correlated to causing endocrine issues within our body. The endocrine system is our hormones, and our hormones really are the messengers of our entire body. And so it can have a whole number of impacts from those kind of influences. And then it's also been known to disrupt development in children, so growth and cognitive development. And so there's real concerns there. So those are kind of two generic toxins. There are
Mhm.
probably hundreds of thousands at this point, if not thousands and thousands of different toxins. But then there's also toxins that can be, when I say may not be a toxin to me, but it could be to you. An example might be dairy for somebody. So some people are lactose intolerant or casein intolerant, and those are parts of the makeup of milk. And so if you're lactose intolerant, lactose is a toxin to your body. Your body cannot process it. Your autoimmune system is going to be on high alert because you're bringing that in. But if you're not lactose intolerant, then lactose isn't going to be a toxin for you. And so there's a
Mhm.
whole range when it comes to the word toxin. But the idea is to understand which ones to really be aware of and to make sure you get those out of your everyday environment as much as possible. And then understand which ones are specific to your bio individuality and start doing kind of that
Mhm.
personalized investigation into specific toxins.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then also looking at how that affects the greater planet, right? Like
absolutely. Yes.
if something is an endocrine disruptor in humans, what is
Mhm.
it doing in the macrobiome, in the animal world, in the
Right.
soil, right?
Yeah, the
What
soil is a big one that I don't think
Mhm.
enough people really understand. Our soil is its life source. I mean, it is what
Mhm.
grows the food that the entire planet eats. Us, other animals, it is everything. And our soil is dying around us. So there's a difference between soil and dirt. When you think about dirt, you
Mhm.
think about like dirt clods where you can break them up and it's just this dust that floats away in the air. Soil is that like thick, rich dirt that's like moist and you'll find worms in it. Well, that soil is filled with little microbes, little bacteria, and all kinds of things that live inside of that soil that really help to aerate it. There's lots of fungus, there's all kinds of things that live in soil. And it's really, really important to kind of the cycle of life in the sense of how plants grow. They need the oxygen that comes through from all of those microbes aerating it. They need the carbon dioxide that's then stored in different parts of the soil. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to have that rich, healthy soil. And what happens is there are different toxins, again, like glyphosate, a lot of the herbicides and pesticides that are sprayed all over our crops around the world destroy that soil. It kills off the microbes and it kills off a lot of the other little animals and creatures that kill it in it. Plus, it's just poisoning the ground. And that's affecting our ability to grow crops. It's then affecting how the plant grows itself, like what the chemical makeup is of the plant. And then it gets into our bodies, or it gets into, say, a cow and the way the cow processes it. And then that goes throughout their system. And then we eat a steak and then it comes into us. And so it's this whole cycle of really, really scary impacts on all of us. And so yeah, so soil is something that I think really needs to be turned into kind of like you got to look at it as like gold. It's a precious
Yeah.
material and we're running out of it quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I often talk about it like we have our microbiome in our gut, which a lot of
Yes.
people are learning about, that this is
Mhm.
the seat of our immunity and our health. And we have the macrobiome, which is the same thing. It's like made up of bugs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
our microbiome is a bunch of stuff living inside us. It's not us.
Right.
And we are reliant on those organisms for our health. So it's also true with
100%.
the soil. And yeah, we have so much that's depleting it. So yeah, so let's turn to, I mean, we could get really depressed, right?
Yeah.
Give up,
Yes,
just be like,
easily. Yeah.
we're all doomed. So you use this other term a lot, which I think most folks are familiar with, which is eco-friendly.
Mhm.
And so what is eco-friendly and how is that helpful in this scary picture of
Yeah, so
toxins?
the thing to think about being eco-friendly is you can be really I really love the term conscious living. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do I easily explain health and sustainability together. So when I talk about sustainability, it's really doing what we can to prevent continued climate change, continued damage to the planet, um, and long-term effects that are going to not only affect the human species but all the species on the planet. And so I came to conscious living and understanding that every decision we make, if we make it consciously, can have a positive impact. If we make it subconsciously or don't give it any thought at all, a lot of times we can have a really negative impact. So
Mm,
when you link that to living eco-friendly, or the term generalized as eco-friendly, it's being conscious about all the decisions we make, especially when it comes to like the products we're purchasing, or I like to say how we use our checkbook. And so our checkbook, our buying power, has an amazing impact on how manufacturers make their products. It makes a huge impact on what products are offered in the store. It makes an impact on how those products are transported to the store. It's a whole kind of continuous pipeline of um, influence that you can make through kind of the general product world.
mm,
And so when you think about eco-friendly, it's trying to make little decisions every day to help be more sustainable. And so an example might be toilet paper. So most people don't know that, I won't name specific brands, but there are a couple really big major brands that most people tend to buy and have in their home with toilet paper. A lot of that toilet paper is actually created from fresh live trees that are cut down and then turned into toilet paper. And so, to be frank, we are killing the planet to wipe our tissue. Like, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time with that. I don't think a
mm,
tree should die just so I can use the restroom when there are other viable
mm,
products out there. And so there's companies now that are making toilet paper from bamboo. And we like bamboo because it regenerates very, very quickly. It's a very sustainable plant. You want to make sure that it's a, sustainably grown bamboo, but most of the companies that are deciding to make toilet paper from bamboo are really also cautious of that. So it's an example. You can make a little shift going, instead of buying some of the big major brands that you are used to, buy the bamboo created toilet paper, and it works exactly the same. You get the same job done, but you've made a positive impact. And so
mm.
being conscious about little decisions like that. Same thing for tissue paper to wipe your nose, or switching from plastic water bottles to metal ones. That's kind of the big thing everybody talks about, but it really does matter. And if we can get more and more people to really start to be a little bit more conscious about those eco-friendly decisions that they're making throughout their day, in the long run, that's going to have a huge impact on the planet. It changes the way stores buy products, because especially us as women, we have more buying power than we even remotely understand. And so, making a stand by purchasing a more sustainable product, a healthier product for
Mm.
your family, by the way, you're telling those stores, you need to sell this stuff, not that stuff. And so it's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah. So we're voting with our
Checkbook.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I must say that I have been surprised at, I think sometimes we can get in our little universes and feel like, oh, well, things are okay, like we're moving in a good direction. And yeah, well, a bunch of things come to mind. I was just thinking about, like, you know, returning to the use of a handkerchief,
Mhm.
like having, keeping a handkerchief in your purse or
Right? Yeah.
whatever, instead of using tissues, or things like that, can be really helpful. And it is interesting, like, to look back at how things used to be done in lots
Mhm.
of circumstances, right? Like, we didn't used to have such a disposable
Right.
world where we
Yeah.
throw everything away. One of the things that has surprised me is seeing so many families who are busy
Mhm.
no longer use actual dishes for their
Yes.
meals. So everything is paper plates and paper cups or styrofoam. And um, personally, as a potter too, I don't like that, because I like to make beautiful things for people to eat and drink out of. But I think it's indicative of our time. It's like we look so much towards convenience
Mhm.
and what we feel leads to our comfort. Like, we are entitled somehow to be more comfortable all the time. So it's always a better choice to be more comfortable. Whereas, if we look at, like, washing dishes creating discomfort for us,
Yeah.
um, that we're opting for that from a personal entitlement place, instead of from a place of, like, oh, it's actually good for the environment to not be
Yeah.
filling up multiple trash bags every week because we're eating meals on paper plates or
Well, let
whatever.
me yeah, let me I can break that down in a couple different ways to kind of
Okay,
shift
go
perspective.
for it.
Okay, so first, obviously, using one-use cups and plates and silverware and all those things right off the bat, horrible for the planet. That's obvious. That's a given,
Yeah.
right? So you're making a negative impact on the planet, and that's going to really affect generations to come. So if you have babies, you're hurting their planet. Those forks and spoons that are made of plastic, I mean, they don't biodegrade. You're looking at 400 to 1,000 years. So that's what, 4 to 10 generations from now are still going to be dealing with the garbage that you're making today. So that's something just to kind of consider.
Yeah.
Second thing is that we've been told that it's more convenient to use this stuff opposed to dishes, right? Okay, so one, you're going to be paying more in the long run for disposable because you throw it away every time. So you constantly have to spend more money to buy more,
Mm.
opposed to one set of dishes and one set of silverware that you just simply wash, right? And reuse. And so you save money by using real stuff opposed to the throwaway. Two, you have to take the trash out more often because you're creating more trash. So you're actually doing more work having to take the trash out. And I don't know about you, but during the winter, like taking the trash out is my least favorite thing to do. But you're doing as much work taking the trash out as you would be just throwing them in the dishwasher.
Hmm.
And so that's another issue there, right? And then lastly, what I think is actually the most important is understanding that the plastics that you are eating from, those, the styrofoam cups, the plastic silverware, the takeaway containers, all those little plastic things. One, there's little micro pieces of plastic that are shedding off of those things, ending up in your food and ending up in your body. And it's a substantial amount of plastic that the average American is eating every year. And a lot of times that actually gets stuck in our bodies. It
Mm.
doesn't get processed out. And so there's fat stuck in or I'm sorry, there is plastic stuck in some of our fat cells. There's plastic stuck in different parts of our body that haven't been pushed through. And so I find that really gross, but I also want to think about the health impact of that. So maybe I'm saving a little bit of time now, but could that plastic and the chemicals alongside that plastic have a longer impact on my health and well being in the long run? So, is that going
Yeah.
to cause more medical bills? Is that going to cause a disability where I'm not able to work and make money? Is
Mm.
that going to cause my children to suffer from health concerns or health issues? And so there's multi levels of concern there. And so, when you can opt for some stainless steel silverware and some, ceramic dishes, I don't know. It's a pretty easy answer for me,
Right.
really. So, yeah.
Yes. All right, everybody, enjoy your dishes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and then we look at social good, right? So I think that kind of dovetails into what you were just talking about, like looking at the bigger picture and then giving back in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. So my biggest thing is I love to work with other people. I like to collaborate with other creators and people sharing information. I like to work with other companies that are really focused on social good. And the idea is figure out what the thing is for you, your passion, your spark, whatever that is, something that intrigues your interest, even if it's just for, a month or two. It doesn't have to be a lifelong passion, something. And just do something to give back, because those little activities, those little things that you do have huge ripple effects. It's like the waves, the ripple effects in the long term. You can make one decision today that could impact somebody to completely rearrange their life, even if you're not aware of it, and then they go on to do something great. Or you build relationships off of it. And so I really think being conscious about how you're giving back and what kind of impact you're making is really important. It's can also be taken from a social or a selfish side too. It feels good to do things for other people. It
Mm.
feels nice to help people out, or just share something kind with somebody else. And so it's a selfish win too, which I think is okay sometimes.
It's a win-win.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we just have a few minutes left, but I would love to hear more about the tie-in of toxins with Alzheimer's. If you
Yeah.
can you just share a little bit more
Yeah,
about that?
absolutely. So I am a believer in prevention. So after working for the association for a long time, I don't remember their exact mission statement, but it was along the lines of finding a treatment, prevention, or cure.
Mm.
I will tell you from all the research I've seen, I mean, I think pigs will fly before there will be a true cure for Alzheimer's disease. And the reason I say that is because when people actually have full blown Alzheimer's disease, there's usually quite a bit of neurological damage inside the brain. So, meaning the tissue has actually been damaged. And to be able to regenerate enough tissue inside your brain to heal those kind of issues, and then to somehow hopefully the information and memories that were stored in the areas that were damaged, hopefully that's stored somewhere else as well, but it's not guaranteed that it will. And so being able to pull that information and reconnect everything, I think is a real long shot.
Mm.
I don't foresee it happening, truthfully, but who knows? You never know. Miracles happen every day. But so I don't really see a cure coming. When it comes to treatment, I can see that there may be some pharmaceutical um, medications that come out to help kind of minimize the symptoms or help slow progression. There are a couple pharmaceuticals out now that kind of help do both. But really, in the long run, they do very little. They can
Mm.
subside some of uh, the symptoms that cause from it, but they don't actually stop the progression of the disease. So the disease continues underneath, even though the symptoms are being managed. So once that pharmaceutical drug is no longer beneficial or active, you see a big jump in
Mm.
major issues. And so there isn't a whole lot. The other issue is with pharmaceuticals, you're still putting a band-aid on it. You're not actually healing the problem. You're just putting a band on it and kind of hoping for the best and kind of looking the other direction. That's really what's happening. So for me, I'm really into prevention. What can I do now to prevent me from getting dementia in the future? And the one thing that was driven home by every researcher that I saw over and over again, it is the lifestyle we live and the food we eat. And
Mm.
so the biggest thing that you see is eating whole natural foods, eating lots of foods with healthy omega 3s. So you think about wild caught salmon, grass fed, grass finished beef, things with a lot of really good omega 3s. Most Americans are pretty deficient on omega 3s. So that's a big thing. And then minimizing toxin exposure. So thinking about, metal exposures. I know there's controversy around aluminum. It's kind of debatable. Um, But metal exposures, mercury, that comes from different kinds of fish, lead exposure, things like that. And then other toxins, like we talked about glyphosate, and then some of the chemicals that are in different foods that are processed and stuff too. And so, really understanding that prevention is really going to be the connection to minimizing dementia and Alzheimer's as well.
Thank you. Those
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
some good tips to support what we already do here in this community. So
Yeah.
it's beneficial on more levels. So will you let people know where they can find you to connect with you further and
Yeah.
anything you have coming up?
So my kind of general hub where I link everything is my website. So that's nikalawrie.com. So NIKALAWRIE.com. You can also find me on social media at the same handle, Nika Lawrie, on everything except for TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but
I don't
otherwise I'm
either.
on everything else. So yeah.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of your amazing wisdom with us. And
Oh,
we're,
thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. And
yes,
I love connecting with you. So thank you.
yeah, so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, so cheers everybody to a happier and healthier world. We're here to support you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Nika. Take
Thank
care.
you.